welcome to a very wet Estering in Germany for round 4 of the FIA European Rallycross Championship. As you can see behind me, the paddock, a hive of activity as always, preparing for the business end of this round of the European Rallycross Championship. The semi-finals and finals for both the Super 1600s and the Supercars are fast approaching, and conditions, well, they have been chaotic all day. Filthy wet out there, very, very slippery on what is already a difficult track to navigate anyway. And some drivers have certainly come a cropper out here. We are looking at the wet, and at the moment, touch wood, it's not raining, dare I say, but it is forecast for a little bit later on, so we'll have to wait and see. But of course, we're talking about tyres and whether they ride wet or dry. And Dan Rook, our commentator, is on hand to explain, I think firstly, Dan, the difference between wet and dry. What does it mean?
I mean, visually, you can already see the difference between the two tyres. This being our wet tyre on the left-hand side of your shot and the dry tyre on the right-hand side. The wet tyre has a lot more grooves in the rubber here to displace any standing water and mud and anything like that from the track, which the dry tyre doesn't have, because the dry tyre is designed obviously to not have to disperse anything and to gain maximum traction. So visibly, that's the first thing you can tell about them.
Okay, and I just said there, you know, weather forecast here. It's not raining at the moment. It is forecast to later. Would anyone risk a dry tyre? Is it still too wet?
I think right now, yeah, it is still too wet. I mean, the teams are discussing it. When we came into Raid Brinters and Zorning here, they were deciding what tyres to even put on the car, let alone which one they can let us borrow to do this little piece. But yeah, I think they're going to be on the wet tyre. It's not looking to dry out too soon, and we are forecast more rain, so it's definitely going to be the choice for the paddock.
But let's say we don't get that rain forecast, we're in luck. What would be the danger of running a dry tyre or a wet tyre rather, in drying conditions?
The problem with the wet tyre is if they get too hot, and obviously if you're on a dry track, you can soon pile temperature into these tyres. So when they get too hot, they start to disintegrate and break up, and that's when you start to really lose all your grip, because you'd have no longer have any rubber on the surface.
And similarly, let's say you think, right, it's dry, we're going to stick the dries on, and we get the heavens open, like they did in Norway, at Hell, for example, absolutely apocalyptic conditions, and it gets really wet. What happens then?
Well, the dry tyre is extremely difficult to drive on in the slippery conditions. Without the grooves running to the edges of the tyre, you have no way of displacing the water from underneath you. So it makes it really difficult driving on ice.
Well, there we go. Wet and dry tyres. A tricky decision, but you're saying they're all going to stick with wet for now?
I believe so, yeah. It seems like the most sensible option.
Okay, thank you very much to you, Dan Rook, for that explanation.
Makes it a bit easier for the teams to decide.
Makes logistics a lot easier for Cooper Tire as well. They don't bring a specific compound for every particular track. It's one compound. You've got to make it work. You've got to make your car work on it. So Cooper Tire have two basic compounds, or two basic tyres, a wet and a dry, a cross-ply and a radial. And as you saw in the shot that Dan just showed you, they're both grooved, but it's the critical bit on the wet, which is getting the water all the way out to the edge of the tyre. Otherwise, basically, they're skis, aren't they, over the wet stuff. So, first up then are our two semi-finals for Super 1600. Let's take a look at the standings after Q4 and see who came out on top. Well, again, it was Aidar Nuriev who was the fastest of our qualifiers, and the Russians going pretty strongly. Naitsev second. Belevsky, although he's under a Swiss flag, a Swiss license, obviously a Russian as well. Gegeli Marton, the Hungarian, our fourth fastest qualifier. And of course, the odd-numbered qualifiers, first, third, fifth, seventh, and so on, will go into the first of our semis, and the even qualifiers will go into the second. Now, the pressure is really on here, Dan, because if you're starting fifth, sixth on row 3 of the grid, there's a lot of machinery running very quickly up to turn 1 to try and get through, and that's potentially where you're going to either find you're in with a good hand to play in the rest of the semi or not, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it already here this weekend, how chaotic turn 1 can be. So you don't want to be, you know, wedged in and stuck and having nowhere to go. So it's quite nice to have the option to maybe go around the outside.
Okay, well, welcome back to everybody. Unfortunately, the weather has played a little bit of a trick with some of our communications. I think you might have had a break in transmission. Hopefully, you'll be back with a live stream. We've got both of the Super 1600 semi-finals to come up. Then we're going to go to the Supercar class, there to semis. And once we've got our finals lined up, we will then go into the 1600s first. And to round out our weekend here in Estering, it will be the final for the Supercars. FIA European Rallycross Championship presented by Monster Energy. Round 4 at Buxtehude, the European Rallycross of Germany. We are at the legendary Estering, just outside Hamburg in the north of Lower Saxony. So, poi poi everybody, good afternoon. Herzlich willkommen, liebe Zuschauer, to our German fans. Can't do it in Russian, I'm afraid, for our front row grid starters here in semi-final 1. Aidar Nureyev with the orange and black on his Audi A1, the 24-year-old Russian on pole position. Yuri Belevsky with the Swiss flag on his Audi. He's on the outside of row 1. There's Igor Sanin. Now, he, in the Renault Twingo, has been super aggressive, always. I mean, he makes the car seem like it's half the size it really is, the gaps he's looking to get into. The 20-year-old lines up third on row 2. And Timur Shigabutinov, the third of the Folland Racing Audi A1s, he starts in fourth spot, the 26-year-old Russian. So Russian on the front 2 rows of the grid. Chances are strong that a Russian might win this, because Artur Egorov is another Russian. He starts in 5th position, and the 6th man on this first semi-final grid will be Hungarian, 48-year-old Hungarian Zsolt Suji, or Jolly as he is known, which makes pronunciation a lot easier for leather-tongued Poms like myself. Although, is he going to come through to the grid? He is. Okay, fine. So we are getting ready to go. So 5 Russians, 1 Hungarian. Predicting a Russian win out of this one, Dan?
I mean, the odds are fairly good for it, aren't they?
Yes. Even though one of our Russians, Yuri Belevsky, has a Swiss flag, Swiss license, he will be on the front row of the grid there with Artur Nureyev. So, Aidar Nureyev and Yuri Belevsky, row 1 of semi-final 1 grid. Igor Sanin and Timur Shigabutinov, Renault and Audi, and the Audi of Artur Egorov, and Skoda Fabia of Jolly will be the back row of the grid. So can the Renault get into the top 3 with 4 Audis around him? That is going to be a stiff challenge for Igor Sanin, but if anyone is up to it, he may well be that number 19 machine. So look for that kind of green and black camo. The green and black Audi alongside him. Shigabutinov has also been a very quick starter. We are ready to race semi-final 1 here in Estering. Who's going to make the best of the start? Nureyev gets a little bit too much wheel spin, but he shuts the door on Sanin from the outside front row. It's Yuri Belevsky. Oh, and Sanin turns around Shigabutinov. That was for 4th place, because around the outside had gone Jolly. Shigabutinov in the barriers. Dan, stewards are going to have to take a look at that one.
Yeah, I'm sure we're definitely going to see something pop up on our timing screens a bit later on in this race to for them to be discussing that move, although it is one of those things where you're piling 6 cars into one space. It does get a bit of a tight squeeze, and unfortunately for Shigabutinov, it looks like his final hopes are over for him.
Belevsky leading from Nureyev and Egorov. Audi. Sanin in 4th place, just got boxed in at the start. Is he going to joker now? No, he's not. He's going to chase them because he's got Jolly too close behind, and the threat of Shigabutinov. Shigabutinov may as well joker now, but he doesn't. He's just going to go for pace here and see if he can gain something at the end. The problem is now, if you're Nureyev in 2nd, Dan, you want to win like you did in Barcelona, like you did in Belgium. What are you going to do to get round Belevsky?
I think they're going to have to wait for the races to play out a bit. There's a little bit of contact from Nureyev into the back of Bolevsky there, but yeah, they've got 6 laps now compared to the normal 4 laps during qualifying to try and let the race play out a little bit. So he's going to be hoping a gap comes up behind him for him to go to the Joker, as he's gone into the Joker anyway.
Well, he's quicker now, isn't he? And Egorov follows him through. Sanin doesn't. Sanin will struggle to get in front of both of them, or will he? He's going to be on the inside up to the first corner, so Sanin moves up into second by inches ahead of Nureyev. Egorov now in 4th. Yeah, Bolevsky was a little slow off turn 2 last time round, and that's why Nureyev sort of ran into the back of him under acceleration. Sanin in the Renault Twingo in second place at the moment, but Nureyev is right behind him again. Sanin trying to rotate the car, slides a little, and effectively compared to the car coming up behind, it almost stops, but he gets away with no contact.
For me there, I think Nureyev should have waited another lap to try and go into the Joker lap, because he didn't quite have the gap to Sanin, and now he's down to chances of trying to catch up to the back of Bolevsky. I mean, we're going to be watching the timing screens to see how Sanin's lap times are doing compared to Bolevsky's. Naturally, on that last lap, he was 4 tenths faster than Bolevsky, so the Sanin's looks like he's got pace to catch up with the front runner.
And that helps Nureyev and Egorov. Look, those 3 together, you're either going to get in front of all of them or none of them, aren't you, if you Joker? So now Bolevsky is basically his colours and nails to the mast. He has to go last lap or not at all.
Yeah, he's going to have to try and really open out a lead and try and put in the lap times. Otherwise, these guys are going to pip him on the line.
Yeah, they're close right now. They're too close right now for Bolevsky to Joker safely. So he's got to try and produce more speed. Sanin is still closing that gap. The gap's going to be down, maybe even under 2 seconds at the line. Let's take a look. 2.08 to 1.948. So it's not a massive margin, but it doesn't have to be a massive margin. It's coming down.
There was another 4 attempts taken out of the gap for over the whole lap last time. So Sanin is putting in good pace here.
At the moment, Nureyev with the potential advantage, because the 2 cars in front of him have yet to Joker, and Nureyev is right with them. They are closing on Bolevsky, and Sanin, unfortunately, is going to find himself having to take his Joker lap right at the end, and probably struggling to make the top 3, because he can't shake off Nureyev or Egorov, so they'll both get by him. Somehow he's got to find enough of a margin to get in front of Bolevsky.
Yeah, I mean, the gap back to Egorov is actually a bit bigger now, so Sanin has got the potential to slot in that gap. And now with him going on the last lap, he isn't losing the extra speed that up the hill, so it's going to be that run to the line straight out of the Joker lap.
Well, Bolevsky kept his nerve at the start, and he stayed out in front. He may not win this. Nureyev looks like he might do, but as you say, it's all about Sanin versus Egorov for 3rd to progress into the final. Both of them have got the pace to be there, but only one of them will earn the place. Last lap, Bolevsky, Joker. Sanin comes in really hot, doesn't he? That's a flying, attacking Joker lap from Sanin. He's going to be held up almost by Bolevsky. Doesn't get second, does get 3rd. You spotted the gap exactly as his spotter will have done. Stay out, stay going quickly, get ahead of Egorov, and he did. So Bolevsky just taking the victory by 0.22 of a second ahead of Nureyev, and Sanin in 3rd. I thought Nureyev might be close enough, but in the end didn't quite have the pace, did he? So Yuri Bolevsky goes through, Aidar Nureyev goes through, and Igor Sanin goes through, but Nureyev will not be on the front row, and that might have a very germane effect on how he fares in the final. He made a good start here, but Bolevsky made the better.
Yeah, Bolevsky able to cut across the front of Nureyev, as we're watching in the background the incident between Sanin and Shigabutinov, which has actually arisen on our timing screen, so that's going to be under investigation. That could end up hampering Sanin being in the final. Yeah.
There was a little hint, I thought, in that shot, and you need to see it in replay, that Sanin was actually getting pushed from behind as well into Shigabutinov. I mean, as you say, though, you know, 6 into 1, it's not always going to be the closest. Sanin produced the speed that he has through the qualifiers to get himself, at least at the moment, into the top 3. Bolevsky had just enough in hand to hold off the closing Nureyev. Nureyev was kind of left with no option but to Joker early. In the end, it didn't quite pay off for him, And it's Yuri Belevsky who wins the first of our Super 1600 semi-finals. Jokering on the last lap and just making it across the line to claim victory. Laura is with him.
Yuri, well done. Brilliant stuff. Very, very close there. Did you know you had enough to hold off Nureyev?
Yes, I was watching in the mirror all the time. It was really, really tight with him. At the end, I decided just to close the door because, you know, like normally, I know that he's a fair driver and, you know, we would not go into much contact. So, yes, but it was hard when he pushed me behind. He's a really strong driver.
Great tactics from you and a brilliant move into the final as well. For you, how are conditions out there as well? We're talking a lot about the weather today.
Yes, so during the morning it was really, really wet. Now somewhere it dried up, so you can be faster. But some corners are really muddy, like the one down the straight. It's really, really slippery there. I mean, the car is just sliding, so it's really tough conditions. But we try to adapt and push to the maximum.
Game plan for the final then, same again, adapt and push?
Yes, full attack, push, do best lap times and have a great start. That's the only plan you can have in rallycross.
Yeah, full gas from the start. Thank you very much, well done. Best of luck for the final.
Thank you.
Well, Yuri Belevsky, 5th in Spain in Barcelona, only 15th at Spa-Francorchamps, but he was 3rd in the final in Sweden. Behind Bermingrud and Nureyev. He out-qualifies Nureyev in that semi-final. As he said, he knew it would be close, but he's a clean driver, so he played it straight. Our second semi-final then, round 4 of the European Rallycross Championship here in Estering. And it's Marek Knightsev, the Russian 22-year-old in the Skoda Fabia, who starts on pole position with 21-year-old Hungarian Gergely Marton alongside him in his Audi A1. Row 2, it's the 20-year-old Norwegian, the winner last time out, Marius Bermingrud in the Skoda Fabia, and Josef Schuster alongside him, the 24-year-old Czech. On row 3, Tomas Krajcik of the Czech Republic, the 18-year-old in his Skoda Citigo, and Pavel Vimmer, who made it through by the skin of his teeth after a disappointing Q3 and 4. The 47-year-old in his Skoda is the 6th and final car in our Super 1600 semi-finals. So Vimmer there on the far right at the back with the full white front end. But watch for the green, white and red on the left-hand side of the front row. Marek Knightsev, the fastest of the qualifiers for this semi, but Gergely Marton in the Audi, the blue and white Audi, he's been a very aggressive racer as well. That car's had plenty of pace. This could easily fall his way. He's in the middle of the grid down as well, which is sort of lanes 3 and 4, and maybe even lane 5 have been really good places to launch from. But you were saying, you know, there's more rubber down now, potentially less grip for the front row starters.
Yeah, so they have to make sure they get their RPM bang on.
Green lights done, away we go. Marton in the blue and white, showing strongly, trying to climb the hill behind him is the poleman. Knightsev doesn't get through. Bermingrud on the outside. Bermingrud still on the outside, still out there. Marton, they're all bumping and boring. Marton has the lead as they start to go down the hill. Knightsev in second, Bermingrud in equal 3rd place with
Schuster.
Yeah, Schuster, exactly. Down the inside, Bermingrud still on the outside. Skoda on Skoda action. The Skoda Citigo looking to tuck up the inside. He can't quite go through. He might do. Bermingrud trying to hang on to 3rd place, but at the moment it's the Hungarian Gergely Marton who leads from Marek Knightsev.
Yeah, Marton there with a fantastic start, and I actually thought when we looked at the grid when it was lined up that position on 2nd place is looking a little bit drier. We saw Belevsky in the previous race get the jump off there to take the lead, and Marton has just copied his actions and done exactly the same.
Yeah, under pressure from Knightsev there, up into turn 1, and you saw the jokers being taken at the back of the field by Tomas Krajcik and Pavel Vimmer, the row 3 starters. Krajcik's been very quick once he's been in clear air. He's taken jokers early in qualifying 3 and qualifying 4 this morning. So what can he do? Marton is pacing this queue. Knightsev might be faster but can't get by. Schuster there in 3rd might be faster but can't get by. I mean, there's barely a car length between them, Dan.
No, all nose to tail action for these guys, isn't it? It just goes to show the competitiveness of Super 1600. that nobody in this race especially is just running away with it.
Now let's see what Krajic's gap to the leader comes down to, from 3.69 to 3.98. Okay, so it actually opened up. It looked like he was closing on the back. There he is in the Skoda Citigo. Wimmer's out of this. He's way out the back. Not sure what's happened to him. Pavel Wimmer, the 47-year-old Czech, just made it through as our final qualifier. Gergely Martin just pacing it here. Knightshev making a little mistake off turn 2. It is a lot drier than it was in Q3 and Q4, and of course they haven't had a chance to practice, they haven't rehearsed any of this, they haven't been on the track during the lunch break, so they're discovering on the first couple of laps where the grip is and isn't.
No, I mean, I think semi-final 1 would have actually been a bit grippier than semi-2, although the track is starting to dry out. You can see how thick the mud is there, and when you watch them go from the gravel to the tarmac section, you can see the mud coming off of the wheels. And I think that we had the track cleaners out there during the lunch break, which so the mud wouldn't have been there during semi-final 1. You can see it all flying off of the tyres as they hit the brakes coming down into turn 2. That's being dragged all the way around the track, and that's making it increasingly difficult.
Krajic's so close to the barriers there in 5th place in the little upright Citigo. Martin needs to do nothing now. Stay up front, make no mistakes. Joker last lap, made in the shade. What's Birmingham going to do? He's in 4th place. He's not going through to the final right now. How is he going to force a way past Schuster? Because he can't do it by jokering. Well, there's the answer. Forces the mistake. Schuster goes wide into turn 1. Wimmer comes past us into retirement, I think, and through goes Birmingham. You didn't even get a chance to answer the question. That's what he needed to do,
yeah,
Martin.
that
He's
is
just
what
done
he
it.
needed to do. And now I think personally he needs to pull a bit more of a gap now as well to Krajicek behind, because with those two guys fighting with each other, Krajicek has been able to close the gap up to them so that when they go into the Joker, he's going to be there ready to pounce. Yeah,
Krajicek might be the man to go through. Wimmer came by very slowly, something broken on his car. Martin leads, he's going to likely win this. Knightshev, Birmingham as one ahead of Schuster and Krajicek. And they come past us. There's not a car length between them out of the final corner.
Birmingham starting to pull a gap now to Schuster behind, so he definitely did have more pace than the Skoda behind him. But yeah, the question is still with Krajicek, but actually I think he has now got enough of a gap to be able to come out in front of him again as he's dropped off the back of the train a little bit on this final lap.
It's going to be close, isn't he? Krajicek lost 3/10 there. In fact, he lost half a second to Birmingham. He lost 3/10 to Schuster. So Birmingham is just about making enough space for himself. It's going to be Audi. Last lap Joker for Martin, for Knightshev, for Birmingham. Birmingham can't make a mistake on this Joker lap. He's very slow at the hairpin. He's very, very slow on the way out, but he's still going to get 3rd. And Krajicek doesn't get Schuster either. So by a fraction of a second, Schuster 4th, Krajicek 5th. And Marius Birmingham will make it onto the back row of the final. Don't forget, Marius Birmingham, the Norwegian, won last time out in Super 1600 in Höljes in Sweden. So he makes it through. 4 more championship points for him. Marek Knightshev qualifies 2nd through the semi-final 2, and Gergely Martin will take his place on the front row of the grid in the Audi A1, and he made it here again from that middle of the grid starting position. You've got both mirrors full of other cars, but he kept his calm, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely, and that's what he had to do. He had to win the start, and then he knew from there it would be difficult for people to get past him. It would just be played out on the Joker laps, but if he drove his own race and listened to what his spotter was telling him, that he would be able to come to the end of the race and still be out in front.
Well, the time for this semi-final, 4 minutes 44.69. Walewski's winning time, 4 minutes 40.52. So you're absolutely right. It's nearly 0.8 of a second a lap slower than the previous semi. So the track has definitely dried a little, but it was not as quick for these guys as it was for their rivals just a few minutes ago. And Birmingham, that was the move that got him into the final. Just when I was wondering how he was going to unlock Schuster, Schuster made a tiny error up to turn 1, and through went the Norwegian. So Martin ending up with victory there. It'll be a very smiley young Hungarian with our Laura Winter. Let's hear from our winner now.
Congratulations, a great win in this semi-final. Front row for the final. How satisfied are you with how you've just driven?
I'm very happy. Actually, I hope that this P2 would be quite a good start position for the final. So we'll see. Actually, I'm quite happy with the pace. I try to hold my nerves to get a good grip all over. So I'm happy so far.
Anything you'll be looking to change or adapt for the final, given the conditions that are evolving out on the track right now? It is drying up somewhat.
Yeah, the conditions are ever changing here, and but I believe that now it won't matter because we are all in the same track. So actually, I would try to keep my good shape now. So we'll see.
And how do you deal with the nerves and the pressure going into the final as one of the favourites?
It's really good. It gave a good boost now.
Brilliant. Well done. Best of luck for the final. Thank you.
Well, good news for Gegli Marton there, Dan. He makes it through, an unqualified success for him. Nice and clean, into the first corner, led all the way. He's on the front row. It was the slower of the two heats, but he's actually going to benefit from that because he won't be on that right-hand side, on that sort of slightly more slippery side. One man who doesn't is Igor Sanin. We've just seen that the stewards have handed him a 5-second penalty for that contact that we saw in his semi-final. So he's no longer third, he's now fourth. He doesn't make it through. So Igorov, the beneficiary of that, he goes through into the finals.
Yeah, so Igorov there being the winning partner in the incident between his teammate and Sanin. So this is good news for him.
Yeah, so Bolevsky, Nureyev and Egorov go through. Let's take a look then at our semi-finals in the Super 1600s. Okay, no, so we're looking at what happened in Q4 in the Supercars. So the first of our qualifiers had the blue Peugeot of Moser going around the outside. The Hungarian, though, losing traction. And Stein Jensen romping away in front until he made a mistake on the final lap and threw it all away. That gave Moser victory. In the second of our semis, it was a great hole shot for Paulius Pleskavas, but a further disaster for Pontus Tielemund. Tielemund was fourth overnight, dropped down, way down the qualifiers after Q3 went badly and Q4 went worse. Victory for the Audi driver. And then Q3, great run into the first corner from the Peugeot of JB Dubourg. And he was challenged right from the start, wasn't he? But JB kept his nerve. And it looked as though that both Dubourg brothers, their cars weren't handling well in Q3. Looked like they'd made some significant changes. And he actually had a car that he looked like he could do something with in Q4, Dan. And it was the same with Andrea. He had a great start and just didn't quite get the better of Thomas Brinterson, who had the inside line. And then he kind of fell out of bed on the outside of it, didn't he? Went from first to fourth in one corner.
Yeah, this was a race full of drama, as we see in Sondre Evgen running wide here and losing out to Tanas Karai. And then Karai then stuffed it into the tyres on the way into the Joker lap, getting it all wrong. And this was even Larson struggling in the tricky conditions, running out all the way to the gravel trap and coating our cameraman.
Well, yesterday he threw it up the tyre barriers over the hill. Today he threw it into turn 2 and he still got away with both of those. All right, he didn't win, but he did enough to qualify strongly, so he is still very much in the frame. He's got the points, he's got the position, and he's still going to be the man they've got to catch, right?
Yeah, he's pole on semi-final 1 as we're looking at how they qualified after the 4 qualifying races this weekend. And you can see Robin Larson in that P1 slot, and Thomas Brinson, after winning Q4, moved himself up into P2 as well.
Yeah, basically he moved up. René Munich stayed third. Sondre Evgen, who was second overnight, dropped down to 4th position. But the big loser was Pontus Tielemund, only 10th qualifier. He was 4th overnight and only just out of the top 3. So he's just had a disaster so far today, stalled in Q3, spun around in Q4. He's got to avoid dramas in this semi-final. He starts on the back row with Mandy August. He must make ground here or he's going to lose out on a final spot. So Robin Larson, René Munich will be row 1 for semi-final 1. Thomas Brinterson and Evgen will be on row 1 for semi-final 2. Round 4 of the FIA European Rallycross Championship presented by Monster Energy. We're at Estering in Germany with 2 rounds to go. Half the season already done, and Robin Perfect Larsen is the man who has won everything. On the other side of the lineup there, you can see Thomas Brinterson, who will start on pole for semi-final 2. Laura Winter is down there with him. Well, she is down there with him, but she hasn't got a microphone with her, so we will try and catch up with them. Thomas has won both of his qualifiers today, so he was looking really, really relaxed, and he didn't look under an awful lot of pressure there either. So the audio guys have caught up with her. And you can see just on the left-hand side, Robin Larsen, like a speedway rider, tramping down the bit before they get to the gate. He's a bag of energy, isn't he? You know, he looks long and relaxed and languid, but he's just all keyed up and ready to go, just hyping himself up a bit, ready for this.
Yeah, this is that pressure moment for all of these guys. They've done the work to get themselves qualified, where they, especially Robin in the front row, and now he's the first part is trying to make sure you can get off the line and then control the rest of the race.
Watching that first semi-final with us will be Thomas Brinterson. Let's hear from him with Laura.
Thanks very much, guys. Yeah, we are now down here at the start. I've got a microphone in hand this time, and Thomas Brinterson is joining me. We were just discussing, weren't we, the changing, evolving conditions we're seeing out here on the track and how dry it looks here and indeed down the bottom where I do my post-race interviews as well. What are you thinking about the start in turn 1?
For sure, I think it will be tricky because it seems like a pole position. It's a little bit more wet than the others, so we'll see how it will go then. And also the first corner is really quite dangerous. If you are first, you can push me, so everything can happen. And also the track is drying up, so a bit nervous right now.
Yeah, I can sense a few nerves from you. You're sticking with wet tyres though, right?
Yeah. For the moment we have wet on, so we will see, but I think we will go for wet.
As we're saying, you know, the track's drying up, it's evolving. I can feel a few spots of rain already beginning to come down, which may make you feel a little bit better because you were driving so well in the wet earlier today.
Yeah, for sure. Today has been a really good day. We were a bit unlucky yesterday with some hits in the first corner and everything, but today it was really good and the start has been good, so hopefully it will keep up.
And who have you got your eye on in the semi-final? Anyone in particular?
No, I think I have a really hard semi-final, so it will be hard, but I will push what I can and hopefully it will be good enough.
And in conditions like this, on a track that's as technical as this, it's all about keeping your calm, staying cool. You've mentioned you're already nervous. How will you look to get that under check?
Because the conditions do it a little bit worse as well, so you don't know what to expect when you go out on track right now, because yesterday it was full drying and now it has been wet earlier today, so now I don't know really what to expect, but yeah, it's the same for all of us. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably stop talking to me and start focusing in your car will be helpful for you, won't it? Thank you very much for your time. Thomas Brinterson there, of course, getting ready for semi-final 2. And we have our semi-finals to come very soon. Back to you, Martin and Dan.
Thank you, Laura, and thanks, Thomas Brinterson. Yeah, actually, he was kind of not quite exuding the, okay, enough now, I've got to think about it because none of the other engines are running. But in terms of the weather, Dan, it's going to be hard to pitch it. If it doesn't rain now before the final, somebody's going to gamble, aren't they? They're going to gamble that there's a crossover where you don't need a wet and you can use a dry tyre. And the advantage there of being able to use a dry tyre is that the car is maybe a little bit more rescuable from odd angles, and it's a more progressive tyre, isn't it, once you get it sideways than the wet radial?
Yeah, so the dry tyre constructed as a cross-ply, which I believe Cooper Tyres is the only company that still do that, and that's what makes those tyres great for rallycross. But it's going to be a hard decision. I mean, we're seeing dry spots on the tarmac, but then the gravel is still extremely wet, and the mud is being dragged onto the circuit. And if someone was to go for a dry tyre now, you run the risk of not getting the drive out of turn 1, which is the all-important corner here off the start.
Yeah, the real problem here is that there's so much uphill and downhill, and it's such a short lap that it's all quite steep, so traction is going to be really super important. Robin Larsen, well, nobody, I think, is going to be doing anything other than going on full wets. No gambles going on at this stage. And certainly, when you're on pole in semi-final one, when you've been TQ, that's not the time to make rash gambles, is it? You know, when you've got nothing to win and everything to lose, you don't gamble, you stay safe.
He lining his car up slightly differently there. He'd got himself in a position in the middle of the box, and it looked like he reversed and took himself more over to the right-hand side. And that would be from what a similar situation to what I said earlier, where he wants to try and get off of the damp rubber that's been laid down there from when they were doing their dry starts, because water on top of tyre rubber is actually extremely slippery.
Yeah.
So he'll find more grip by going off the normal line and being on the slightly dirtier bit.
You can see René Munich has gone way over to the white line. Now, the white line will be even more slippery than the rubber he's trying to avoid, but the rubber, you can see the darker strips with the light grey in between, which is drier. The darker strips are what he's trying to avoid. He's trying to avoid being on that wet rubber. If you've ever ridden motorcycles, you know that rubber and paint in the rain are very, very treacherous indeed. As bad as oil, but more visible. So that's what they're trying to avoid. That's the front row then, Robin Larsen and René Munich. JB de Bourg, the Peugeot 208. Both he and Andrea struggled in Q3. And things have been ill handling and just really fighting the driver in the damp conditions today. Thomas Karai qualifying 4th for this grid. And Karai has been going really strongly in his A1. He's launched well, he's raced well as well, and he's been very happy to try different jokers just to try and get a better track position, find more speed in the qualifiers. So he could be a real threat to make it through here, no question about it. On paper, you would say Larsen, de Bourg, definitely going to get through. René Munich's got a really great shot here, but Karai could be the fly in the ointment for René, I think.
Yeah, Karai has been showing good pace all season, actually. Took a qualifying win in Silverstone and, of course, a win here now this weekend as well. But he needs to be able to keep it consistent now in the semi-final to book himself a slot in the final. And being on the outside in 4th position, I mean, it's not the worst position to be starting, of course. I mean, you can get worse back at, 5th and 6th. But it's a difficult one for him to be able to get himself in across and into position.
Yeah, when they were starting 5 abreast, starting from the outside was one thing. When you're 2 rows back, starting from the outside is very different, as Paulius Pleskivas lines up in the 6th position, and Andrea de Bourg alongside him in the number 23 Peugeot with the green side flashes. And actually, I don't know what Andrew's complaining about. You can clearly see JB's got red door mirrors and Andrea's got green ones. I know they're the size of a postage stamp, but they're, they just spring out at you at the screen.
Yeah, it's quite easy to see when they're sat still, isn't it, Martin?
Yes, and not covered in mud as well, or rain. Robin Larsen starts on pole for semi-final 1 in our supercars. Round 4 here in Germany of the European Rallycross Championship. Hometown hero René Munich in the Seat Ibiza. Munich Motorsport starts on the outside of row 1. JB de Bourg in his Peugeot 208 on row 2 with Hungary's Thomas Karai in an Audi A1 the team have built themselves. Andrea de Bourg, Peugeot row 3 with Lithuanian Paulius Pleskivas in the Ford Fiesta on the outside of row 3. So we are set and ready to go. The light gantry on the extreme right. And this is the view from behind row 3 up the hill, and it is a steep hill into turn 1. Ready for semi-final 1, we are ready to race. Revs rise, clutches at biting point. Robin Larsen, the blue and yellow. René Munich, the light grey on the front row. Great start from JB de Bourg and from Thomas Karai, but it's René Munich again. That's 4 out of 5 times he's been first into turn 1 from the grid. Drift out wide, and Larsen is very sideways. Not sideways enough that he can't make contact. JB de Bourg and Thomas Karai, 3rd and 4th, but it is René Munich down to turn 2. He's got to control it under braking, and that puts Larsen under pressure to make something happen. And Nobody's done that to him yet this season.
Yeah, disastrous start there for Larson. Like I was saying earlier, the pressure mounts before you've even left the line because you've got to make sure you can nail the start. And I think he just had a little bit too much wheel spin there, ended up going backwards, and Rennie was able to capitalise and cut off in front of him to gain the position. Now Robin needs to really hammer in some lap times. He's run a bit wide off the final corner there, and Rennie pulled a little bit of a gap. But I'm sure we're going to see more from Robin. We know he's no slouch, so he's going to be looking for every single possible gap he can find to get past Rennie Munich.
Yeah, he's got to put the pressure on and get by Munich on track, because he won't do it under the Joker. JB de Borg in third with Thomas Karai, and Karai again, same deal here. He's been caught by Andrea Dubourg, and Pleskavas has also Joker. Look how dusty it's got suddenly here, but that doesn't mean it's dry. That just means it's even dustier and slippier. And Larson again, wide out there where he hit the tyres yesterday, but Munich still controlling the lead of this race.
Yeah, Robin there with a lot of commitment and actually running the car a bit narrower off of that corner. As we can see, Karai a challenge with the Dubourg brothers. He's in a Peugeot sandwich at the moment, and Andrea behind him has taken the Joker already, and the two in front of him have not. So, and Robin's got past Munich.
Yes, he has. So that must have been out of turn one, down the hill, long way before they got to turn two. So Munich clearly made a mistake in turn one, and Robin Larson goes through. Now we'll hopefully get a replay of that and see whether there was any contact. That's already changed the results of semi-final one in the Super 1600s. If Larson levered Munich offline, then the stewards will be taking a look at it.
I can see a little bit of bodywork damage to the left-hand side of Robin's car. I mean, it doesn't look like a significant amount, but a little bit of a dent in the door and some scuffs on the wing.
JB takes the Joker, does not come back in front of Karai, but comes back in front of his brother Andrea by inches. But Karai almost looked like he was going to spin it into the Joker lap there as they came down the hill, just in the back of the camera shot. Karai made a big mistake as JB went into the Joker. I don't think Karai planned to, but he nearly did by mistake. Karai's in real trouble here. JB will go through unless he makes a mistake, but what's happening with Larson and Munich?
Front right puncher, JB Dubourg, front right puncher. Sorry, Martin, just noticed that.
No, fantastic. Okay, so Munich Jokers, and so now the gap is open for Karai. Yes, he has. Tyre is going soft as they come past us. It's just about visible, but he's still got three-wheel drive, and it hasn't reduced the horsepower, and Karai cannot get by. Karai is in a hole that he can't dig himself out of because he's still got to Joker, and Andrea is trying to push him along to get by him and JB.
Yeah, so he's actually got a puncher on a good position here on the right-hand side, because most of the corners are right-handers, so it shouldn't affect him too much as he runs a little bit wide there. Maybe I give him a little bit of a jinx. But this is going to be the corner where it really affects him, the left-hand corners, where he's trying to put the weight of the car through the front right tyre, and it's just not there to give him that support.
Ahead, Larson has got enough over Rennie Munich to safely Joker. Now Karai Jokers, but 2 laps too late. He needed to follow JB through really to stand a chance, and that's not gone his way. Andrea Dubourg. Now, is Andrea going to shunt his brother out away? He's going to have to. He gets hit from behind by Pleskavas, and JB gets out of that better than he went in. And Tomasz Karai, Tommy, I'm afraid, is not going to make it through into the finals. Larson, Robin Larson. My goodness, yesterday it was almost picture perfect, except he bounced off the tyres at the top of the hill there. Today, it's been anything but he's come up smelling of roses again. Larson wins it from Munich, and it's all about which of the Dubourgs goes through. Andrea can't pass JB. Is he going to shunt him out of the way? He's not. Surely, with a soggy right front tyre, he can't make the semis. He does go through into... Oh! Yeah, no, it was JB at the line. And then suddenly the graphics changed to Andrea and then changed back. So Larson, not a great start, got held up, stuck behind Rennie Munich. Munich, once he'd been passed, took the Joker, and Larson was out front. He takes 6 points, Munich takes 5, and JB Dubourg, it wasn't totally flat, but it was a very soft-looking tyre on that right front corner. He clings on to move through into the final. Well, if this morning was chaos, we thought it might calm down a little bit. It definitely hasn't, has it?
I love semi-final time. It's always like this.
Well, there's not much spare bodywork left between Jean-Baptiste and Andrea Dubourg. Most of the bits of their cars have been knocked off, but what remains of JB's goes through. But our winner, Robin Larsson, not the calm performance, Laura, that we're used to seeing from him.
Robin, talk me through the start and the move to get past Rennie Munich as well, to come out as winner of this semi-final.
The position 1 on the lines, it sucks. So we knew that before, so it was so slippery in the start. Then we just try to catch him and do good laps. And I saw that he was always wide in that corner in turn 1. So I just took one chance and did it hard, and it worked. And then it was just to push, but it's still slippery. So we'll see.
I was going to ask, how has the track evolved? It looks like it's drying out, but there's a few spots of rain now. It's a difficult one to call, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really slippery, so you need to find those spots and stay in the lines. So no mistakes, but it's really easy to do the mistakes. But yeah, we'll see how Brinterson, but we'll see in the semi-final too.
Okay, game on for the final. Well done. Best of luck.
He just looks as though today has been perplexing. He knew that he was in trouble. Slot 1 has not been good all weekend. Rennie Munich, again, a great shot from the start. And again, Tomasz Karaj, another really strong start from row 2. But right from that first corner contact, it looked as though things weren't going Karaj's way. Larsson got into second, JB Dubourg in third. And the advantage for Larsson following Munich is that he could see where he was making a mistake, and when he made a bigger mistake in turn 1, then Larsson pounced. So he was setting himself up. As we were watching the battle behind with Karaj and the Dubourg brothers, Larsson got his nose in front. And Dan, once you let him do that, you've pretty much lost the race, right?
Yeah, as soon as he's got that bit of clear track in front of him to capitalise, then yeah, Larsson's just going to run away with it. You give him an inch, he takes a mile, you know.
Right here with Tomasz Karaj between the two Dubourg brothers. This is looking like an Andros Trophy race in Val Thorens or somewhere. Karaj just couldn't find a way through, bumping and boring with the duo, and lost too much ground, not following JB through on the Joker lap. And then trying to get back in from behind, spinning out at the end of the event. Semi-final 2 FIA European Rallycross Championship for the Supercars here in Estering in Germany. And we've already had one chaotic semi. Let's rub our hands with glee at the prospect, Dan Rook, of a second one. Thomas Brenterson, Sondre Evjen, row 1. Peter Hedström, Mikko Ikkonen on row 2. So here's our front row starters. Thomas Brenterson, the 23-year-old Norwegian, and his 21-year-old compatriot Sondre Evjen, the second fastest qualifier. Brenterson with 2 wins in qualifying today. Thomas Hedström in the VW Polo and Mikko Ikkonen in the Ford Fiesta. And on row 3, Pontus Tiedemann, who would have hoped to have moved into the top 3 after being 4th overnight, went the opposite direction. Mandy August, the 12th and final qualifier in the Munich Motorsport Seat Ibiza, alongside that Beetle of Pontus Tiedemann. Well, Tiedemann stalled in Heat 1, got spun in Heat 2 today, or qualifying 3, qualifying 4, so he's had a shocker of a day today. Only just made it through in 10th place when he was 4th overnight. Is he going to find retribution here from the back row? It's going to be a tough ask, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him do some hero drives, so I'd love to see him make his way up through, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to do it.
All right, well, this could be a very big day for Sondre Evjen. Second fastest overnight, second fastest qualifier today. And he's in the middle of those starting grids in the blue car. Can Thomas Brenterson from pole make a better start? Yeah, Evjen didn't get a good start, but look at Pontus Tiedemann, holy cow, away from the grid. If he could have driven over the top of Evjen, he would have done, and then that's his luck today. Turned round in turn 1 after making an epic start. The good news for him, though, is that they all basically drove each other into the barrier on the exit of turn 1, and so he lost positions, but barely any time. He's got ahead of Mandy August, and at the start, it is Hedström who leads. Evjen in second, but skating out very wide. You can see the rear wheels were kicking up the dirt there, exiting turn 2.
Yeah, really chaotic start for the start of this race, isn't it? Everybody's maybe misjudging the grip levels or something out there. I mean, it looks dry to look at, but actually you've got that slimy layer on top, which makes it really deceiving.
Battle for second place coming up into turn one. Here comes Brinterson. He's inside Sondre Efjen. The two Norwegians side by side. This is like a drifting battle. Still, but oh, Efjen's got a problem. Broken suspension. Broken steering.
Broken steering,
yeah. Okay, so he's out. Ikonen has just jokered and is still in front of Pontus Tiedemann. Tiedemann now goes underneath him. Just gives him a little flick of the hips to go through. Down at turn two. I think he'll probably get away with that as a racing incident. Hedström leads from Brinterson, and Brinterson is closing fast. He's really closing fast on the Fiesta driver, on the Polo driver.
Yeah, Brinterson's been really fast today, and it's great to see the performance from him after the disaster he had in Sweden. And he's starting to catch up to the back of Hedström. His lap took 6/10 out of him in that last lap, so he's really showing some solid pace here.
Well, there's the car of Sondre Efjen. What could have been such a big day for him has really gone sour in a very big way. And there is Ikonen with what remains of his Fiesta. Mandy August in 5th place in the Seat. She's jokered. Ikonen has jokered. Not sure that car is going to be entirely in one piece when it gets to the line. And Brinterson looking for the lead now. He's going to force something from Hedström. He goes joker now. Okay, he's got the speed. Will he be back in front of Pontus Tiedemann? The danger for Brinterson is he doesn't make it back in front of the Beetle, but he does comfortably. So now he gives himself at least a lap where he's not going to be held up. Hedström goes wide. He squared off the corner nicely, though. Got the drive he wanted. Tiedemann in 3rd. Like Hedström has got to joker. Is this Brinterson's race?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Brinterson's showing absolutely amazing pace. Took a 10th out of Hedström in that first sector of this lap, despite having the disadvantage of the run out of the joker lap. So look, now he's all over the back of him. He is going to be really sticking it to Hedström. Hedström has no choice really here now. He's just got to pick up the pace, otherwise he's going to be a victim of Brinterson's attacks.
Well, Hedström knows that he'll be safe from Tiedemann, who also has to joker. The question is where either of them will be safe from Ikonen in that damaged Fiesta. I think they should be. Hedström, he's got nowhere to go, and Brinterson is all over the back of him. But 1st and 3rd still must joker. Brinterson, this is the experience, that's the rallycross head. Don't panic, just get on with it. Just produce the pace. Took the joker early because there was no mileage in staying behind Hedström and doing it on the last lap. That was never going to win him it, so he had to do something to try and win this. And it looks like he's going to put himself on the front row of the grid. Lap 5 of 6.
Yeah, so Brinterson just has to sit tight now, doesn't he? He doesn't have to make any advances or anything. He's not being threatened from behind. It's not like he's got to get past, otherwise Tiedemann will get him, because Tiedemann's got to joker too. So Brinterson is in the prime locations. We watch Ikonen struggling to get the car turned in there, the front end of the Fiesta hanging off it. But yeah, look at here, Brinterson's he's just driving within himself now. He showed that he had pace, and now he doesn't have to do anything without it.
The real problem for him, Pontus Tiedemann also has to joker, so it's not a real problem. Tiedemann is closing. Tiedemann has to make sure he gets back out of the joker lap ahead of Ikonen, and he's got 2.5 seconds in hand. He goes joker now. Hedström goes joker. Brinterson is going to win this if he keeps the momentum up, not by much, but by enough. Hedström 2nd, Tiedemann 3rd, and again the spotter saying stay out, stay out, stay out, stay out to Pontus. Do it on the last lap, cover off Ikonen. Ikonen, as you saw there, really struggling with the Fiesta. So again, some great rallycross thinking from Thomas Brinterson, from Pontus Tiedemann. It didn't go for them at the start, no panic. Just stick with plan A and push as hard as you can. Brinterson wins from Hedström, and Tiedemann makes 2 Swedes moving through from that semi-final. Mikko Ikonen, Mandy August, and the very unfortunate Sondre Efjen in the blue car in the centre of the front row. The youngster in the Polo, he was right in the mix at the beginning. Tiedemann got turned around, and it looked like his chances were gone there, Dan.
But yeah, everybody then buried themselves into the barrier, didn't they? And he was able to work his way back up. And we're looking at the incident here between Brinterson and Efjen, which ended Evjen's race here. I'm not sure what the contact was, actually.
Looked like right rear to left rear, and I think he broke the right rear steering arm, actually. I think that's why the car was fishtailing badly. You see Brinterson's left rear is tucked under as well. It's got a lot of positive camber on it, despite which he managed to continue. Despite the damage on the front, Mikko Ikonen managed to continue as well. Not quickly enough, though, to get him through into the final. Pontus Tiedemann in the Beetle, well, he's had an adventurous day, hasn't he, one way or another. He's, as you said, he's put in a lot of recovery drives, and that was another one.
Yeah, coming from the back row of the grid to fight his way all the way up into third position. I called it. I thought we'd see it, but after seeing his entry into turn one, I wasn't sure it would happen. But yeah, awesome driving by him, and it just really shows his class and what he can do.
Well, if you saw the first 5 seconds as they came up the hill here and then saw the result, you go, yeah, okay, well, he was third right from the start. No, he went up to third from the last row, then back to last as he got spun in the first corner, then back up to third. And there, unfortunate Sondre Efjen. This could have been a really big day for the young Norwegian, but unfortunately that contact wheel-to-wheel with Brinterson means that he did not complete the semi-final. That's a shame, because I think he would have made it through into the finals. So it's just making sure they don't drop the car onto the flatbed. Quick word of notification for, yeah, come on guys, get it down on the truck.
Yeah, the last thing that he wants is for them to make some more damage after he's just broken it himself.
Yeah, well, it was full-on side-to-side contact with him and Thomas Brinterson, so I really think that, you know, as a viewer, I would struggle to put blame on either party. They were side by side, coming off the corner, both trying to gain an advantage, and contact is an unfortunate part of it.
Yeah, to me that was a racing incident, but something that's just cropped up on the timing screens. Semi-final 2, contact under investigation between Peter Hedström and Pontus Tiedemann.
Okay, so that was Hedström getting into the back of Tiedemann, I think, probably up at turn 1 on away from the start. Okay, well, you know, in the end, Pontus Tiedemann made it through, Peter Hedström didn't, so unless they're going to judge that Tiedemann reversed it, Hedström came through in second, unless they're going to...
flip it.
Yeah, possibly. Again, we'd probably need to see that a little bit more in slow motion, the replay going up into the first corner, because although Tiedemann's Beetle did end up going very sideways, maybe Hedström was involved in that, not quite sure how, you know, it's going to be hard to judge it as a deliberate change of position. So Thomas Brinderson coming out on top, Peter Hedström and Pontus Tiedemann going through. And poor old Sondre Efjen, well, 2 more chances this season for the Super 1600s in Loiac at the end of the month. And then a fortnight after that in Riga. So you've got some great weather to look forward to, Dan, for the rest of the Euro Rallycross season.
Yeah, Riga's not normally the warmest of places, I seem to remember.
Well, it's only mid-September. Hasn't usually started snowing by then. You'll be fine.
France is always hot, though.
Yeah.
Oh, that being said, when I did compete
Famous
there,
last
absolutely hammered it down.
There we go. There we go. Well, maybe Robin Larson will be very happy to have Andrew Coley back, because when Coley commentates, he wins everything. When I commentate, he has trouble. Okay, okay. So there you saw the contact. The blue and yellow car, Peter Hedström on the inside, making contact with fellow sweet Pontus Tiedemann. And that was sort of front wheel to front wheel. He didn't hit him from behind. He just came up the inside. Dan, come on, you're the competitor.
I mean, for me, that was a bit of a racing incident. He had track position on the inside, and Tiedemann had a fantastic start, but he was like kind of all over the place on his run up to turn 1. He was darting left, right, didn't know where to go, and they just made contact as they went onto the gravel section, and that was that.
Well, I think you want the stewards to look at contact like that affects somebody's position. You don't necessarily want them to then change the positions, but you do want them to make sure that it was clean. So I think that's probably what we're going to see. Again, Hedström and Tiedemann both made it through. If Tiedemann picks up a 5-second penalty, then suddenly Mikko Ikonen is in. So we see if we can get another view of what was going on in semi-final 2 for our supercars. Well, this is Sondre Efjen on the outside and
Brinterson on the inside.
Yeah, 2 Norwegians. I mean, it's like a drift competition again here, Dan. Talk us through it.
Yeah, so Brinson found a hole on the inside of Evgen, and he went for the gap. They made contact on the way into the corner, and then there was contact there again, but Evgen's car seems to be, it seems to kind of be okay, and then he is really fishtailing, and I couldn't see if anything's bent there at all. I didn't know if maybe it was a drive shaft or something.
Yeah. It was self-steering itself a bit, wasn't it? And I thought maybe Thomas Brintesen's left rear had some, but I think that last shot there, the right rear wheel is not straight, is it? I think Brintesen's left rear wasn't quite straight either. But again, that, you know, as a punter, that is an absolute no-fault racing incident. Well, let's hear from Laura Winter. First of all, Laura, how's the weather outside?
We've got a few spots of rain, and I'm just joined by Yuri, who is about to go in the final of the Super 1600s. A penny for your thoughts. How are you feeling right now, moments before your big final?
Well, for me, it's the first time I'm going to start from pole in finals. I've actually never had a pole so far. It's my first season. And it's a bit nervous, of course, you know. The weather conditions are tricky, especially when you are driving first. You are the one to show everyone how good or bad is the grip somewhere. But as always, pushing maximum, trying to get a good start, and then just push, concentrate on driving.
And conditions were still slippy, even though it was drying up. Have you stuck with wet tyres?
Well, yeah, it's drying up, but it's still muddy. So it's not so much water on the track, but it's a lot of mud. And this mud is actually quite slippery, you know. And when a little rain like this comes, I think it's going to be really like an ice rink.
And you said this is your first season. Can you even imagine winning today?
I hope I win. Last time was podium. This time, hopefully, a podium with a win. But, you know, I don't want to have too high expectations. After all, it's the first season, you know, so I'm just trying to get as much experience as I can. And I think trying to drive first when no one is in front of you, it's also a part of learning, you know. So you can really get a good braking points. You can really cope with the pressure behind you, because behind, you know, you better not even look in the mirror.
Big experience for you here. Huge achievement to get to pole, your first pole. Well done for that, and best of luck for the final. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yuri Belewski. FIA European Rallycross Championship presented by Monster Energy. Round 4 in Germany. We are at the Estering, just outside the small Hanseatic city of Buxtehude, on the canal complexes between the port of Hamburg and the ocean. We're in northern Germany, ready for our Super 1600 final. We just heard Laura Winter chatting to Yuri Belewski, the Russian, born Swiss, who starts his Audi A1 on pole position, as he said, Dan, for the very first time. What's that like? That's a different pressure to anything that he's had where he's been following, right?
Yeah, it's much easier to be the chaser than it is to be chased, and for him to be starting on pole position for the first time, you know, there's a lot of nerves going to be going through his system.
Now, alongside him is 21-year-old Hungarian Gergely Marton. He has started in the middle of the grid 2 or 3 times through the qualifiers and the semis. Again, he was in that position in his semi, made an excellent start. That is a great place to be starting from. Could he go out and win this?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, we've seen grid slot number 2 from all of the semi-finals actually being the one that everyone's able to get away from really well. So if he's able to get the launch off the line, he could control this race.
Well, both of those guys have had 1 podium finish so far. Marton was 3rd in Spain, and last time out when they're in Sweden, Belewski took 3rd. But with 2 wins, we've just seen him go to the grid, Aidar Nureyev. He's had 2 wins and a 2nd place behind Marius Bermingrud in the 3 outings so far this season. So short odds money, possibly on Nureyev to come through here, but Marek Kneitsev alongside him, the 4th of the men on the grid, the Russian in the Skoda Fabia. He has got a good chance as well from row 2. So much is going to depend on how they start. And that's been one of the issues, I think, for Marius Bermingrud in the Skoda. The Norwegian today in the qualifiers in Q3 and Q4 wasn't as far up as he needed to be and has struggled really to make good starts. The Audis seem to like the climb up the hill a bit better than the Skodas do. Yeah,
the Audis have had a lot of development. Volund Racing producing 5 Audis on the grid this year for the Super 1600 Championship, and the amount of data and testing that these guys do and driver tuition and things like that, it really helps them out.
Pole position then for the first time in his rookie season, Yuri Belevsky in the Volund Racing Audi A1. The Swiss domiciled Russian-born driver on pole ahead of Hungarian Gergely Marton in another Audi A1. So Volund Racing 1, 2, 3, because Aidar Nureyev, our championship leader, lines up in 3rd place in his Audi. Marek Kneitsev, his Russian compatriot in the Skoda from AG team on row 2. Marius Bermingrud, the Norwegian in his Skoda, lines up in 5th, and Artur Egorov, the 4th Volund Racing Audi on the grid. The Russian getting through after a penalty for Egor Sanin, dropped Sanin out of the final and elevated Artur Egorov from 7th to 6th. So he gets that final starting spot, and we're looking past his shoulder at our front row starter, Gergely Marton. Watch for him. We are ready to race the final of the Super 1600s here in Estering. Not a great start from Belevsky from pole position, but as he goes through the gears, he's level with Gergely Marton around the outside. Kneitsev again, the Skoda very quick off the line, but he's very wide. Marton, like in semi-final 2, could get this. He's going to be battling with Belevsky down the hill. Lots of drama behind, and through it has come Egorov into 3rd.
Yeah, Egorov there getting his muscles out and pushing everybody in front of him there, I think, is that who's that going off? Kneitsev going off and managing to keep it lit and pull himself out of the gravel. So at least at this point he's going to finish the race, but out in front, Belevsky turning a not such great start into still a race lead, given his advantage from having the inside line on the track.
Well, it looked like Bermingrud got into the back of the other Skoda. Kneitsev and Bermingrud have both jokered, so it's an Audi 1, 2, 3, 4, but Nureyev is in 4th place, our winner of 2 rounds so far. Behind him is the 3rd winner this year, Bermingrud, who's jokered in 5th. So it's Belevsky, Marton and Egorov down the hill. They may be run by the same team from the same awning, but they have different agendas here. This is not, I'm happy as long as a Volund Racing Audi wins. I'm only happy if it's my Volund Racing Audi.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I'm sure these guys are going to be gunning for themselves at this point. They might have helped each other out a little bit in the qualifying stages, but for now they're out for their own takings. And Belevsky is the one at the moment with that upper hand. He's got half a second back to Marton, and Nureyev's quite far back, but yeah, it looks like we could potentially be on for a another new winner here in Super 1600, but Marton's looking very promising now. It looks like he could be looking at a challenge as they come down into the bottom tarmac hairpin.
Yeah, Belevsky was slow into turn 1 and Marton got under the back of him under acceleration. Egorov is right there. That's the 1, 2, 3. Belevsky with the orange, Marton with the white and blue, Egorov in 3rd place. Nureyev is out of this. He's having no impact at all. He's 2.5 seconds behind the leader, 1.5 behind Egorov. Marton decides to break the deadlock. He's going to joker now because he's safe from attack from Nureyev. So now, wasn't a great joker lap from Marton. He's been very quick up until this stage. He comes back out just behind Nureyev. He was safe from attack, but he got it wrong. Pushes Nureyev out of the corner. Marton has been looking for and making his own gaps. The stewards will have to take a look at that because he definitely pushed Nureyev wide away from the line there. And Nureyev will not be pleased with being pushed off by his teammate. Bermingrud still 5th. He's not going to repeat his win of Sweden unless something dramatic happens. Belevsky and Egorov 1-2 still to joker.
Egorov gone joker lap now. That's to try and cover off Marton. Of course, Marton and
he's blown it! Absolutely blown it. He just stuffed it straight into the tyre barriers, and he's lost the engine. He can't get the car moving. And that's a real drama for Bolewski because he's still got to Joker, and that's going to make it...
I can hear he's moving now. You can see from the commentary position he has now got moving out of the way. You're now seeing it in your pictures.
Okay, well, who's not going to win? Egerov's not going to win. Knighthev is not going to win. Nureyev is not going to win. And right now, it could be Marton or could it be Bolewski? Has he got enough? 1.87 seconds. If that gap comes down at all, what was Marton's last lap? Marton was half a second slower on the last lap than Bolewski. He was 0.8 slower on the previous lap than Bolewski when he jokered. Marton closing. Marton has this lap to win it for Marton. If he doesn't gain enough on Bolewski, Bolewski will joker and still take victory.
He's taken a 10th out of him in that last sector, though, so our timing predictor thinks that Marton is going to claim this one when it comes to the checkered flag, but we've still got a good half a lap to go for one of these drivers to be making a mistake, which could completely flip that result around.
Now, Bolewski was talking to Laura, saying the pressure of being the leader is very different. He knows he's got to win this on the joker on the last lap. How much pressure is that?
Yeah, it's the part of the track that you drive the least on, and it's the part that is right now for him is most important. He goes into the joker lap. Last lap, Marton's coming around the final corners.
Great entry and just about gets away with it. There's just about enough grip. There's not going to be much in it. Victory for Bolewski. Marton second, and Bermingrud somehow makes it through onto the podium, and that's because Nureyev threw a podium finish away with that awful, awful joker lap. Well, that was close, 34 hundredths of a second, but Bolewski beats Marton. So Yuri Bolewski claims his first ever European Rallycross win in his first season in ERX. Yuri Bolewski the winner, Gergely Marton in second place, and Marius Bermingrud on the podium in third spot. So Bermingrud takes his second podium of the season, winner in Sweden, and third place here. Gergely Marton, his second podium, he was third in Barcelona, he takes second here, and it all kind of started in turn one, as we've come to expect.
Yeah, so Bolewski not quite getting the start. As we watching the background, Egerov there pushing Bermingrud, and then that went into to Nyshev there.
Yeah.
And it all happened then for Nyshev on the way down into turn two, as he then locked up the brakes and went into the gravel, managed to pull himself out, but from this point he was nowhere to be seen for the rest of the race.
I tell you what, if Egerov hadn't binned it in the joker lap, I think he'd be penalised out of a podium spot. He was in third, A1, 1, 2, 3. Marton and Bolewski were starting to ease away. Bolewski then nearly gave away the lead. He just got turn one wrong, and Marton was hard up underneath him. Couldn't find enough of a gap. Whatever else he did wrong, Bolewski did not leave gaps. Marton then did a pretty decent joker, but it was when Egerov tried to cover him off, Marton finding a way past Nureyev. But Egerov, though, this is where his hopes of a win went completely sour. I didn't spot that at the time, and Nureyev had to go around him going through as well. That was very tough. Marton didn't quite have enough pace to close the gap at the end of our final, and that meant that jokering on the last lap, Yuri Bolewski was just far ahead enough to claim his first ever win in European Rallycross.
And the relief is written all over your face. Just how pleased are you with that? Your first ever win in your debut season.
Well, it's amazing. I have not many words. It was quite tough. The battle was hard. I mean, Marton behind was pushing. I pushed as well. I think at the end I found some points where I improved my driving, because to be honest, conditions are changing so much, and I felt that I was over-braking somewhere, but I think at the end I found where I could improve and pushed. I'm really glad to win here. Buxtehude, it's a historical track, quite, let's say, rallycross famous. And yeah, I mean, and always first win, it's the most, I don't know, best, most memorable win.
I mean, I'm sure you hoped for it and you dreamed of it, but coming in, did you think that the car had the speed and that you had the form to win here?
To be honest, when I arrived in Buxtehude, I was sure that I would not be even in the finals. I mean, semi-finals was my best bet, because I've been here like some time ago, And to be honest, I didn't like the track so much, and I felt I didn't have a good pace here. This weekend was quite a surprise for me, because I improved a lot from a driving side. Fighting-wise was also not so easy, but I'm super pleased, to be honest. It's like a really big, deep satisfaction.
Congratulations. Thank you so much for your time. Before and after the final, well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, we've heard an awful lot from the 24-year-old Swiss, haven't we? Yuri Belewski qualified really strongly and ended up claiming his first ever win. And that hauls him way up the order, up into 8th position now. Aidar Nureyev still the points leader. Gergely Marton closes the gap. Artur Egorov drifts a little further back, only 1 point ahead of Egor Sanin now. And Sanin unlucky not to make it through into the final, into the semis. Marek Neitsev, Timur Shegobusanov, lots of Russian participation there at the top of the pile. And Marius Birmingrud, despite winning last time out in Höljes in Sweden, still only in 7th place in the points. It has not gone too well for him here either. So Yuri Belewski claims the first win. And like he said, Dan, you know, if you're going to win somewhere, winning somewhere that's got a long and storied history like this place, that feels extra special.
Yeah, there's been so many winners at this track, so it's great to be able to add your name along that long list of winners that have been here.
Yeah, if you're a racing drive, if you win at somewhere like Spa or Monza, your first win, it's you know, it's such a historic track, and this place is the same. Only Lydden Hill, where Rallycross was created back in 1967, has been going longer as a Rallycross venue at the top level. And this European Championship weekend, again, bringing lots of fans out. Even the manager of our hotel was asking us this morning at breakfast, OK, what time does racing start? You know, it's a small town. This is a big part of its small town history. So in the last 20 or 30 years. FIA European Rallycross Championship presented by Monster Energy. Round 4, Estering in Germany. It is Supercar final time. And the man who has been unbeaten so far, Mr. Perfect, Robin Larsson, with a 100% score, 3 wins from 3 starts. Victory at Silverstone, victory in Hell in Norway, victory in Höljes in Sweden. He is the man that they've all got to beat. But today we learned that, yes, Robin Larsson is human. Yesterday and today he has proved that, yes, he can make mistakes. He can also be beaten to the checkered flag. Is he going to be in this final? Well, he starts on pole position with Norwegian Thomas Brintersen alongside him, the winner of the other semi. This is a mouth-watering prospect. This is a heck of a grid, Dan.
Yeah, it is a really solid grid. Lots of talented drivers down there with some really special machinery as well. I mean, let's not forget Robin Larsson is in the championship winning car of Matthias Ekström from 2016 in the World Championship, and they've been developing that car since Munich in a car that they've been developing this year. Lots of work gone into that one. Brintersen is in the 17 Markland car, the car that won the European Championship with Anton Markland behind the wheel. So lots of good cars and talent behind the wheel.
Absolutely right. So you just saw Rennie Munich, All-Inkle Motorsport, all at allinkle.com. Munich Motorsport set Ibiza. He lines up in 3rd. Peter Hedstrom, who runs the car, this Volkswagen Polo, the blue and yellow Swedish colours, very proudly on his machine. So he'll be the second of 3 Swedes on the grid, and gridding up behind JB de Bourg, Jean-Baptiste de Bourg, the Frenchman. Again, very proud to be racing summer and winter for Peugeot. Races Peugeots in the Ice Racing Series, Trophy Andros, races rallycrosses them in the summer. The Super Final, or the final of the Super 1600s, is under review. Couple of incidents then. I think particularly the first corner where Egorov shunted everybody into everybody else. Egorov ended up coming last, so there probably won't be too many changes. Certainly don't think Yuri Belewski did anything wrong. And there you saw the beetle of Pontus Tiedemans, run by Eklund Motorsport, the 3rd Swede on the grid. So we've got Robin Larsson on row 1, Peter Hedstrom on row 2, and Pontus Tiedemann on row 3, representing one of the heartlands of Sweden. And of rallycross in Sweden. Of course, Thomas Brinson on the outside, the front row, the Norwegian. Norway also has always had a proud reputation in rallycross. Rennie Munich hoping to fly the home flag. Will we hear the German anthem for the winner of our Supercar final? Well, he is the only hope that the German crews have got here. He starts in third, Peter Hedström in fourth. For France, Jean-Baptiste Dubourg and Swede Pontus Tideman make up the final row of the grid in the Peugeot 208 and the Volkswagen Beetle. So six drivers, 5 different cars. There are a pair of VW Polo starting second and fourth. Let's see what our final will produce. The final of the Supercars, the last encounter here. Oh, and a jump start for Peter Hedström. Dan, he was super eager, or did the clutch just bite on him, because we had barely even seen the ready for action lights go off?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe he was just over eager there. The car leaped forward, doesn't it? It wasn't like it was creeping forwards to knock over the sensor in front of him. So, yeah, 2 joker laps now for Peter Hedström as a penalty for doing that jump start. You can see the Chronomoto kit as he realigns himself up in front of the stand there. We can watch a replay of his start.
Yeah, the ready for action lights go, and it... Now, is that the electronics playing on him, or is that he's just twitched, a muscle in his leg has twitched and the clutch has just started to bite more than it needed to? I mean, he barely got any distance at all, but even so...
Yeah, I think he twitched on it, because although he didn't get the distance, the front of the car still rise quite a bit, which would have been, you know, a jerking action on the clutch with it biting.
So that's a double whammy for him, starting on row 2, already out of the top 3, and now have to do double joker. So what's he going to do? First lap, last lap? Where would you do? You can't. It could do 2 consecutive laps, I suppose, but first lap and last lap would seem to be the most sensible place.
Yeah, I would imagine so. It just depends how everybody else runs through the rest of the race.
Depends where he starts, doesn't it? Depends where you are in turn 1. Okay, so we are ready for action again. The Supercar final is seconds away. Robin Larsson from pole position. Thomas Brinson and Rennie Munich's been such a strong starter. Peter Hedström trying to go the long way round the outside and maybe negate some of that deficit that he's going to have to pay. Pontus Tideman wide in the Beetle as well. And it's going to be Brinson who leads them down the hill. Larsson in second, Rennie Munich in fourth, Peter Hedström in third position. No, Rennie Munich in fifth, Pontus Tideman in fourth. So Brinson has the lead now. Larsson has to force this. He has to make it happen. He managed to get by Rennie Munich on lap 2 of their semi, but Brinson, the leader, has the best conditions they've had all day. Tideman goes joker immediately. He's done this before. He did it last time out, didn't he, in Sweden? Made it work for him.
Yeah, so Tideman now, he's got that little bit of air, although he has come out behind JB in Munich, and he is going to soon be onto the back of them. But I feel sorry for Larsson here, starting on the pole position, which is renowned for being the slippy start. It looks like he's just dropped on the brakes. Did he go wide there on turn 2? He seems to be quite wide on the way in.
It looks a bit like it. It's very, very dusty there. You saw a massive sideways moment for Pontus Tideman and for JB Dubourg. I think Pontus got into the back of the Frenchman. Turn 2 is fast becoming very treacherous. Larsson still second. Hedström takes his first joker now, so that will drop him back behind Rennie Munich, but just ahead of Pontus Tideman. So Tideman fifth. Hedström has jokered once. Now he's got to try and find space, and JB Dubourg replays a bit of the contact with Pontus on the inside of turn 1. But down here at turn 2, this is like a sand track almost. There's so much dust coming up here. Even when you're tight on the line, it's absolutely filthy. Brinson as the leader, leaving dust clouds behind him. Larsson, he's going to have to play fast and loose over the brow where he crashed yesterday in qualifying if he wants to force enough pressure on the leader.
Yeah, so Brinderson he seems to be pulling away here. I just had some information in my ear about what tyres they're using, because you can see there are some drier parts on the circuit, but I got information that everybody is on old wets, apart from JB Duborgo, who I believe was new wets on the left-hand side, and Tiedemann has new wets all around. I believe that's the information I heard in my ear. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Yep, I just got confirmation that was correct. Thank you very much. So yes, so their guys are still on the wet tyres, which although it's dusty, it's still greasy.
And Brinderson rather having the lead, and Larson really wide again as they came over the rise up the hill from turn 2, but he closes into turn 1. Rennie Munich drifts out very wide. Again, the further you go offline, the more the car bogs down in the sand and the muck and the dirt. And even when you're coming downhill on this new tarmac surface, I mean, basically that's like a sand stage, isn't it? There's almost no grip to be had there at all.
Yeah, you can see the amount of dust that these guys are kicking up as they come through there, and you can be as tight as you like, but still not able to, as Robin runs really wide, or really, really wide as he's gone to the Joker lap.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
And that's why. And in goes Rennie Munich as well. Munich goes with Larson. If Larson figures there's enough gap... Oh, Munich has made a mess of that. But Hedstrom comes through for his second Joker. So Larson, Jokers now, 1.9 seconds. Brinderson's got this. Larson is not going to keep his 100% record alive unless Thomas Brinderson throws it away. And Brinderson has not looked like he's been doing that all final.
2.3 back to Robin Larson. Brinderson is going to have that advantage to go through the Joker lap. He's just got to make sure he makes no mistakes, get the car stopped, get the rotation, and get the drive out of the corner. And
Brinderson has been quicker on every lap than Robin Larson. This is not a fluke. This is a well-deserved first win of the season for Thomas Brinderson. Robin Larson second. Rennie Munich completes the podium here in Germany in the top 3 overnight, in the top 3 qualifiers. He finishes third. Robin Larson's perfect season comes to an end as he takes second place, and Thomas Brinderson claims victory. Third at Silverstone, second at Silverstone, third at in Norway, only seventh. A disappointing weekend where he didn't make the final in Sweden, and now he bounces back in the best possible way, and he's basically got quicker and quicker from Q1 all the way through to the final.
Yeah, he's really shown his speed, but he's got a front left puncture.
Yes, same as JB de Borg. Thomas Brinderson, the winner. Robin Larson takes second, and Rennie Munich will complete the podium here in Germany. Pontus Tiedemann, Peter Hedstrom, and JB de Borg. That is the finishing order in our final round 4 of the FIA European Rallycross Championship here in Germany. Well, I need to get my breath back. Dan needs to get his breath back. And it sounds like we're going to have a quick chat with Laura.
Thanks very much, Martin. Yeah, I'm just actually right next to you. I've made my way up to the spotters tower to get the reaction of family, of mechanics, of team, and also girlfriends as well of Thomas Brinderson. Bettina joining me now. So you were spotting for him. Try and sum up how you're feeling right now watching that. You were literally shaking, weren't you?
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm just so happy. We have worked so hard for this. We have built up a new team this year with just friends and family as mechanics, so this means the world. I'm so proud of what he has achieved and all the mechanics and the guy. I'm just so proud. I don't know what to say.
What were you saying to him during the race?
I was just telling him that he has a good speed. He was how big the gap was to Robin, and yeah, that was it. And just told him to go into the Joker the last lap. Sorry, I'm just
winning tactics, wasn't it?
Yeah, winning tactics.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you. I'll let you go and see him. I'm sure you're dying to now. Go and give him a big hug. Congratulations to you and the team, and of course to Thomas Brinderson. Thank you, Bettina.
Thank you.
Well, fantastic for Bettina. I mean, she was really trembling, wasn't she? Brinderson made such a strong start down from the first corner, covered off Thomas. Thomas Larson has said all weekend that inside starting position, position 1, has been really tough to get off the line, and it proved so again. And Brinderson just made no mistakes. I mean, not one that we saw.
No mistakes at all, and being just as committed as Robin up through that gravel section there. And yeah, he just put in the lap times, like you said, every single lap, bar 1 I can see on here. Brinterson was faster than Robin through that race, so it wasn't just through, you know, having the track position, because there wasn't really a lot of mud spray this time. It was actually on his outright pace.
Yeah, absolutely right. And that's been the story of the weekend. As I said, he's got quicker and quicker. Larson, still as flamboyant, as dramatic, as sideways as ever, but could not find an advantage. And Rennie Munich, when all the jokering was done, came through into third position. He's been very consistent, third all the way through, third overnight, third at the end of qualifying, and putting in a really solid run here. German driver at home, lots of expectation from the crowd. Larson jokered on the penultimate lap. Rennie Munich went with him. They were by that stage clear of Pontus Tiedemann in the Beetle and the Hedstrom-Dubourg battle. Hedstrom, of course, with 2 joker laps after that jump start, dropping him back. But in the end, Robin Larson beaten for the first time this season. Larson was TQ, but he did not win the final. And the way it's worked for Brinterson is basically he's got quicker and quicker. Q1 he was 7th, Q2 he was 6th, Q3 he was 3rd, and at Q4 he was 2nd, and he ends up winning it. I mean, that's the progression. As a driver, when you come here and you're working with the team and you're working with the car, it's getting better and better and better and better, and he peaked at the perfect time, and he had everything to cover Robin Larson, and nobody's had that all year. No,
it is fantastic to see him get beaten. Of course, I mean, I'm friends with both of them. I don't mean that in a horrible way, but yeah, for someone to be taking the fight to him, and it starts to, you know, shake the championship up.
Yeah, absolutely, and it just brings different names in. Of course, you know, it means it's not just a one-man show, which everybody else, you know, if Robin wins all 6, A, it's a fantastic result, but B, everybody else is spend the end of the year going, okay, right, we're going to pick ourselves up and hope he doesn't come back next year. But to see that somebody can work at this and then put in the victory, you know, against an on-form Robin Larson. You know, there was nothing wrong with Larson or his car, and he'd be the first, I'm sure, to say that. So Thomas Brinterson just doing a really solid result. And for Brinterson, that's his 3rd podium of the season, 2nd in Silverstone, 3rd in Hell. Okay, a little bit of off-colour in Sweden, but now with a win. So, yeah, I mean, it's looking even in, very strong.
In Sweden, actually, he was, I think he qualified 2nd, yeah, but they had to do an engine change in between the qualifying and the semi-finals, and they didn't make it to the start, so that's why he had that blip in Sweden. So he still had the pace out there.
Yeah, so it could have been there, you know, but, you know, all great things come to an end, and Robin Larson's perfect season comes to an end. Good news for him, though, perhaps, is that Andrew Coley will be back on duty for the next European Rallycross, and whenever he's been commentating, Larson has been winning. So that'll be at Loillac in France in a couple of weeks. Who knows what the weather's going to produce? Who knows what the competition are going to produce? But I tell you one thing, Brinterson will be very happy to get back in the car and compete again, won't he, now that he knows that he can work to something that's got Larson covered.
Yeah, he'll be really fired up and full of confidence after this weekend, so he's going to be going to France as the form man.
And Yuri Bolevsky in the Super 1600s, his first ever win, you know, at such a legendary track. We could just see that we both laughed when Laura was interviewing him, and the first shot was him just in the car going, oh. You know, if ever expression was a release of nervous energy and a kind of thank God moment, that was that expression. He really, again, you know, brought his A game to the final and just raced the way he'd raced all the way through. Again, he progressed by getting quicker and quicker and peaked at the right time.
Yeah, and no mistakes in that final. He had so much pressure from behind, and for him to not crack, having it been the first time he's been leading the final. Yeah. And yeah, fantastic job by him. It's
a special kind of pressure, and he resisted it, and he held on, and he just didn't allow it to get to him. Now, of course, comes the difficult bit, because when you've been on a podium, whatever, that kind of readjusts your sights. When you're a winner, then suddenly not being a winner becomes a disappointment, whereas previously being on the podium would be a big thing. Now not being a winner, that's the thing, isn't it? So you've got to learn to recalibrate your expectations a little and not get disheartened if you don't repeat this fantastic achievement next time you get in the car. So France is going to be tricky for him, because he's going to go there as the last winner in Super 1600s, and then he's got to try and reproduce it and not be disappointed if he doesn't manage to. You can't win every time.
I can tell you've not been a driver, Martin.
No, but I've hung around with a lot. You know, Robin Larson's the same. You know, he knows you can't win every time, even though so far this season he has. You know, okay, somebody else did a better job, had a better balance, so he'll come back like a caged tiger when we get to France. All right, well, they are just about ready to go out onto the podium. So let's catch up again with Laura Winter and hear from some of our drivers.
Thanks very much, guys. Yeah, I'm here with 3, 2, 1 on the podium. So starting with you, Rennie Munich, third place here in Estering, home soil and a podium. How happy are you with that?
Oh, I'm mega happy. So it's, I must say it was tough, 2 times 6 laps in a row. Maybe I'm getting too old for this game, but I like it.
No, never say that. Yeah, how tough was it out there with the conditions that we've had all day today?
It was quite complicated to make the right decision in the setup and so on. So we tried to, we thought about dry tires in the final, but then last minute change, so back to the rain tires. So I think it was the right decision, but it was a hard day.
A hard day, but it's come out with a third place for you on home soil. Congratulations to you. Rennie Munich in third place. And right next to you, we have Robin Larsson, of course, winner of the first 3 rounds and second today. Can you try and sum up your emotions right now?
Yeah, it was tough out there. We knew the position 1 again wasn't the best in the start, but we did what we could, and I followed Thomas as best as I could. It was so slippery. When he did a mistake, I tried to catch, then I did mistakes. It was same mistakes in same corners overall, so it was tight. But he been strong today in the wet, so yeah, good for him.
You're a winner and you've seemed unbeatable so far. You've lost this one. How will you come back from this for France?
Yeah, we will come back. We'll see. It's been equal times me and Thomas all the year. He had a little bit bad luck in Höljes with the engine, but he's been same times as me, so we been battling up all events, so I'm good for him.
The rivalry will live on then. Well done today. Thank you very much. Robin Larsson then in second place, and we'll bring in now into the bang centre of this screen our winner, Thomas Brinterson. I've just spoken to your very emotional, shaking, crying girlfriend as well, who was your spotter. She's beside herself for you. Can you sum up how you're feeling right now?
Yeah, really happy, and I'm really happy for the team as well. We are working really hard, and everyone, yeah, we do it on evenings and weekends, and everyone has a full-time job, and yeah, it feels amazing that we managed to take this win. It's really, really nice.
It was a clean drive, but you had Robin Larsson bearing down your neck the whole way, didn't you? How did you keep your cool in the car? What was going through your mind?
Yeah, for sure. The track was drying up really much, so, and we had wet tires, so you need to take care of them as well. But I heard that the gap to Robin was equal almost the whole final, so I tried to push what I could with the tires, and yeah, I had some. I think I get in the second or third last corner a puncture on the front left, so I had a bit bad luck there. But yeah, I'm so happy.
Can you try and sum up how much it means to you, how important this win is?
Yeah, for sure it's important. Sometimes this winter I didn't know if I could drive a Supercar this year, so and then I get the opportunity together with Markland Motorsport and build our own team, and yeah, it's totally new for us this season, and to get a win, and yeah, it's really nice.
And now you go again in France as well.
I will try at least.
Congratulations today. Thank you very much. Thomas Brinterson, then the Euro Supercar champion here in Estering.
Yeah, we've seen a picture of a almost fist-sized hole in the left front sidewall of Thomas Brinterson's tyre. He is in second place in the championship. Jean-Baptiste Dubourg is in third spot now. Robin Larsson is still our championship leader, but if he'd continued in his previous impeccable form, that would have been 120 points. As it is, second place for him here means he's on 117. So Thomas Brinterson coming up on the rails, and 2 more rounds to go. So Larsson and Brinterson will both have to go away, Dan, and kind of regroup, rethink, and come back to fight in Loiac and then in Riga to decide this championship title.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at the points, I mean, Brinterson's not really got anything to lose, has he? And Robin is, I mean, obviously there's 2 rounds left to go, and there is a reasonable points margin, but, you know, it's not to say that that couldn't disappear. So Robin is going to have to, you know, kind of play it a bit steady for the rest of the season.
So Rennie Munich coming out into third spot on the podium. The very tall figure of Robin Larsson, our points leader. The runner-up here, second place in Estering in Germany. And our winner in the Supercar final is Thomas Brinterson of Norway.
anthem of Norway for the winner for Thomas Bryntesson.
So the Norwegian anthem for TBRX driver Thomas Bryntesson. Had a great story, Dan. Didn't know whether he was going to compete this year. Had a chance to set up his own team. And now 4 races into their championship, they have their first win in supercars. That is a fantastic tale, isn't it?
Yeah, that's, you know, that's just giving payment back to all of the boys who are helping him out, isn't it? And that's, you know, I'm sure he's going to be taking some of that champagne back to share with them.
Yeah. Well,
Robin just wanted to crack on, didn't he?
Yeah, Robin Larsson's going to share it with them from the podium. Make sure that Bryntesson gets to smell like a winner as well. Sweaty overalls and champagne. It's the smell of victory the world over. And Rennie Munich's done this a few times in different categories, both as a driver and as a team boss. And he finishes in 3rd position, with Robin Larsson still the leader in the championship. 22 points clear of that man, Thomas Bryntesson, with 30 points per weekend on offer. So Bryntesson and the rest of the pursuing pack have to push very hard, because I guarantee that Robin Larsson's not taking his foot off the gas in any way, shape or form. All right, so there we go. That's European Rallycross Round 4 done, dusted, in the books, and a first-time winner for Thomas Bryntesson with his own team, his own built car this season. So, OK, my job here is done. Dan, what are we going to look forward to in France, apart from the biggest entry of the season, right?
Yeah, I mean, what else have we got? Hopefully some warm weather. It is France. But yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, both Robin and Bryntesson have had good results there. They've both driven there, so they both know the circuit. And yeah, like you say, biggest entry of the year. I think they get about 70,000 spectators or something come to the circuit. It's a great atmosphere too. Yep. And I mean, not only do we have the European RX supercars, but we also have the Super 1600 guys, and RX2 and the World Rallycross as well that weekend, so it's going to be a busy one. It's
going to be an absolute monster, no pun intended. So fantastic weekend of action coming up. 2 more rounds of the championship, don't forget. Loac in France, last day of August, first day of September, and mid-September you guys will be travelling to Riga as well. I've been delighted to be able to bring the coverage to you here with Laura, with Dan, and with the whole ERX team here from the FIA European Rallycross Championship, presented by Monster Energy. My first time here in Estering, it has not disappointed. There are a lot of very famous European rallycross tracks. This is sort of right up there amongst the very best. And classic tracks, whatever your form of motorsport, are classic tracks, usually for a very good reason. I think right from the start, in dry and in wet conditions here in Estering, we've seen exactly what that reason is. Good tracks give you good racing, and Dan, we've had great racing.
Yeah, great racing and great displays of car control as well, from when I took you to turn 1 to look at the inside of and watch Robin Larsson come up there and send it sideways before he's even reached us. So yeah, it is a fantastic circuit.
All right. Well, that's it then. Thank you very much for joining us throughout the streaming. Again, a couple of weeks' time, back in action in Loac in France. And in a month from now, it'll be the finale in Riga in Latvia. For the moment, though, from the crew here, from Dan, from Laura, and from me, Martin Haven, thank you. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye. We'll see you next time out.